what's underneath that radical, or I should say in the radical? So when I say discriminant, I'm only talking about b squared minus 4ac, because that determines how many real solutions you will have or how many imaginary solutions you will have. And you may have noticed that already, that whatever is underneath that radical tells you if it's going to be imaginary, one solution or two solutions. All right, the value of d. If the value of d is greater than 0, and when they say d, they're calling this d. So when you plug it all in, this is your d value. Okay. If d is greater than 0, or a perfect square, the number of roots is 2, so the number of solutions is 2. And they're going to be real. And when d is a perfect square, it's also going to be rational. Again, if your d value is greater than 0, same idea, you still have two solutions and they're both real, not in the imaginary system. If it's not a perfect square, you may have noticed that they're going to be irrational. The biggest thing I want you to know is that it's two real solutions, though. Rational versus the irrational is not a huge deal. What about if d is equal to 0, or b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0? How many solutions do you think you have, or roots? One, yeah, there's just one. Because you're doing plus or minus 0 then. Plus or minus 0 isn't going to change anything. When that happens, it will be real and rational. What about if your b squared minus 4ac, or the d value, what if that is less than 0? What would be true about your solutions? There's 0 real ones, but what are they? They're imaginary, and you'll have 2 of them. 2, and they're imaginary. And that's where you have the y. So if you get a negative number underneath that radical sign, you will have 2 imaginary solutions, so the graph never crosses the x-axis. All right, everybody okay with that? Before we actually try to apply it? All right, so now we're going to find the discriminant so we can identify the number and types of roots. I want you to put real and imaginary. I'm not going to make you put irrational or rational. Okay, that's not a big deal to me. All right, so we're still going to identify the A, B, and C. For number 1, what does A equal? B?
12.
Good, and C. All right, so we're only doing the discriminant, so only what's underneath the radical. So we would do 12 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 13. And what do we get? Right. That is not the answer, that's just the discriminant value. And that tells you how many solutions and what type. So how many solutions do I get in this one? We get 2, and are they real or imaginary? So we're going to put 2 real.
Wait, how is it 2?
Because it's greater than 0.
So you're not square rooting anything?
Nope, it's just determining how many solutions you have. All right, number 2, let's do this again. What's my A value? My B value. And my C value. Very good. And we're going to plug it in just to the b squared minus 4ac. So 16 squared minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 64. And then tell me what you get. You got 0? Perfect. So if the d value or the discriminant is 0, how many solutions in what system? 1 real. everybody see how this works?
It's gonna be harder, isn't it?
I don't think so. I mean, we're kind of wrapping up this, so it's not too bad. Alright, go ahead and do 3 and 4 on your own.